Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of What's the Deal with Adam and Neil. I'm Adam.
I'm Neil.
I'm Matt.
Matt's joining us today. Why?
That's right.
Because it's our last episode.
Last one.
Man,
We've made it.
I know.
Did we make it to 100?
No. Halfway, though.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Is this 50 or is
50
this
something. No, it's like
52.
3 or 4. 55.
55.
55.
Yeah.
So we made it more than the amount of weeks in the year.
Yes.
So if someone wanted to make like a weekly devotion out of our show,
Yes, they could.
True.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. If like a nuclear holocaust happens and you still have access to YouTube, you could be stuck in a bunker for a week and a year and 3 weeks
There you go.
watching our episode.
Boom.
Weekly.
I feel like that could keep you sane,
Sane, yeah.
actually.
Or
It's true, you'd have
the
someone talking to you.
opposite.
Or the opposite. Oh, true. Yes, I hadn't considered that option. Wouldn't that be sad? Sorry, guys. Oh man. Well, anyway, yeah. So there's a bunch of fun things. I keep feeling like very. I have a lot of reminiscent feelings and emotions right now. I want to like replay videos.
You can play like what is it, Sarah McLaughlin, whatever.
Yeah, Sarah
Yeah.
McLachlan. Yeah.
Should we play it in the
Laughing.
back?
Something with that. Yeah.
Arms of nature.
Is
I'm
that,
Maddie.
is
Yeah.
that one of her songs? Yeah.
It's like the end of an era.
It does feel like the end. I
Yeah.
feel like we need to eat tacos.
I just think of
out of
crying dog.
honoring Taco Tuesday.
We could eat this plant. It's been here this whole time.
This plant. Hey, you little plant.
So
Yeah,
today is Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I know.
it is. I thought there was gonna be
I'm wearing my
bigger day
special
than that.
Switzerland shirt. I actually got this for Colombia for the airplane. So when we were on the airplane going to Colombia, it's like, where are you going? Or where are you from? I'm from America.
Yep.
I have
a nice shirt.
Switzerland shirt. Yeah.
Looks like your Toyota sticker.
It does look a little bit. Go Yoda.
You got a plain shirt.
Yours is
There's
cool.
an airplane on it.
Yeah, yours is all like,
Got the elk.
yeah, and like a patch on the arm.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
That's
right.
Yeah. Just don't bend that arm too much.
I know.
Maybe slap you on there.
I like the elk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It was it's
Yeah.
my Colorado lifestyle here.
Yeah. Nice. So let's see here. We got a handful of things we want to talk through. Let's start with, what did you guys listen to on the way to church today? Like the way to the office?
I was like, we went to church today?
I was just thinking, yeah.
I listened to Josh Garrels.
Nice.
So, one fact about me is that I am an avid Josh Garrels listener.
Wow.
And if you don't know Josh Garrels, it is essentially, I describe him as like a folky indie artist that kind of raps and uses whatever instruments he wants. So like one song could have like a harp, a cello, a thing of chains, and him rapping, and the next one could have, I don't know, like he just does a bunch of random stuff. But it's like a unique sound. He has a really unique voice, so I listen to him. Him and John Foreman and a guy named Tyson Motzenbacher.
Wow. I'm not gonna lie, I've heard of none of those three people.
Yeah, they're all indie artists. Well, except for John Foreman. You probably know him from Switchfoot. He's the lead singer of that.
Yeah.
So
I do know.
he does his own stuff.
Switchfoot.
Yeah.
I dare you to move.
Switchfoot song.
Yeah. I got that in there. Yeah.
I have confession. I don't listen to music in the car. Never. Like on a road trip,
Does your car not play music?
it plays music.
Oh, okay.
It's like the only function in my truck that works.
That's what I was wondering.
Besides
I thought
the gas and
maybe that
brakes.
didn't work. In the station wagon and I
Yeah.
drove as a kid, our a media console from the 80s
Yeah, the
didn't
little
work.
cassette tape.
Yeah, it actually did kind of work. My brother and I took it out to
Yeah.
replace it with a new kind. Turns out it was so old we couldn't replace it. We put it back in. It didn't work anymore.
That's fair.
It became a joke in the
That's
family.
what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was too young to remember that.
So you don't listen to music?
Yeah, I don't. It confuses Bree. She's like, "Why don't you listen to music?" And I don't know why. I just don't. I get in the car.
You meant music confuses Bree. You're like,
Yeah.
we don't do it.
Yeah, we don't do that in our house. So
okay.
no. Well, so when Bree and I ride together, it's just fun to talk, hang out.
Yeah.
And then when I'm by myself, I just like spend a lot of time just, not you're just praying and stuff. So I just don't listen to music. Even on like long road trips, like I'll drive from here to Colorado, or like last year I went to Wyoming to hunt, and I rode from here all the way to Wyoming and home, and didn't listen to music.
Whoa.
And
Do you listen to podcasts or anything?
yeah,
So you just sit in silence?
yeah.
Nice.
Whoa.
I think that
You
Well, I
are
mean-
quite the breed of
Yeah.
man. I
don't
don't.
play video games. You don't listen to music in the car.
Wow, my brain is so entertained compared to
Yeah.
yours. You must have such a quiet mind.
It is.
I wish I had that kind of
I
peace.
just try to leave room for things.
No kidding.
Apparently.
Man. All right, cool.
Anyway, what did you listen to?
I listened to "Take Me Home, Country Roads."
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
good
a
one.
Classic.
That was blasting on the way to the office today.
Yeah,
So
that's a good song.
some wouldn't say that's a worship song, but
Yeah.
it counts for me.
Who's
Actually, what's funny is John Denver.
Denver.
Every time
yeah.
I'm listening to it, I actually get like goosebumps. Which
Yeah.
is so funny. Isn't that
Because
funny?
it's because of West
I
Virginia,
was like,
man.
man, it hits me in the feels every time.
I do really love it. We heard that in Kenya.
Yeah.
Some guy was
No
like playing it. We
way.
were like, "This is awesome!"
Oh yeah, like it was like a live music thing,
Yeah.
right?
You were
yeah.
in Kenya and someone played
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Denver?
Yeah. It was.
You know, I've heard that West Virginia and that song is actually referring to Western Virginia.
Yes, I actually was gonna
We
bring that up.
probably shouldn't get into that.
Like, I was thinking about that, and my heart.
Let's
died
talk
a little.
about antinomianism from Scripture and theology.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
So I was in Colorado one time, and I lived there, but I was there at this restaurant. It was at this little airport, kind of like Charlottesville Airport, had this restaurant where you could sit out and watch the private planes like come in and take off. It was a cool restaurant, and there's this guy that owned this furniture store called America Furniture Warehouse or something, and he was like famous for. Obviously owning that and having these commercials with tigers. So he owned like 2 tigers, and he was always in commercials with his tigers. Super random. But then you walk into America Furniture Warehouse, and there's like fake tigers and stuff. Really weird. Anyway, he was there at the restaurant, and they had this like piano, and every night they play like live music on the piano, and he was sitting around the piano with some people singing Country Roads, and it was the most just like interesting thing. I'm like watching this guy that I see on commercials with tigers singing Country Roads while I'm eating
That is so
food
funny.
at a airport.
That's
Anyway,
so funny.
That's random.
random, super random.
Yeah, in West Virginia, at the football stadium, they always played at the end of every game. So you just hear like
Nice.
thousands of fans all singing Country Roads, and it gets you,
Sure.
man. It hits you in the
Isn't that
feels.
the?
Put your arms on each other and sway.
It's our
like
state
literally,
song?
you sway.
It's our
back.
state song.
Yeah.
It's our national anthem.
What is Virginia? I don't even know
West
what Virginia's is.
I don't know. Do they even have one?
Probably. I think every state has like
Danny
a state
Boy?
song.
I don't know.
I don't know.
What do you think it should be? If Virginia had that, if it didn't have a state song already, what do you think it should be?
Sweet Home Alabama.
Everyone always does
an option.
their own version of that. Sweet Home Virginia.
No, just stick with Alabama.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what a good song would be for this.
Our state's really diverse. That's what's challenging.
Yeah.
You have like the Appalachian regions. You have the coast. You have
Yeah.
the city, and not just any city, but DC of all cities. So I feel like it could range from the national anthem to something really country.
Yeah.
You do Don't Stop Believing by Journey. That's what I would That's what
What do
I
you think it should be? You were born here, right?
I think it should be Baba Black Sheep.
Nice. Keeping it simple.
Yeah.
And then all these kids who learn the recorder in like 2nd or 3rd grade.
Yeah.
They can play the
They
state
can
song.
play.
They're already ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, because it could go, I mean, like the Black Sheep, you just talked about how diverse Virginia is. There's like, you might be from Northern Virginia, you might be like this Southern boy. You just stick out amongst all of Virginians.
Maybe it'd be something about Virginia's for lovers.
Yeah.
So some Lover song. Goodbye. Is it Goodbye My Lover?
by James Blunt.
Yeah, that song. That's funny. That was a very a one hit, not necessarily one hit wonder,
Yeah.
but that was.
I don't even know
That
that
was
song.
definitely his.
Yeah, check that out, man. Actually, it's funny. Isn't there? There's a lot of references to it in other shows
Yeah.
and stuff. People mock it. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot. Oh man, there's a lot of different things to
Don't
cover.
go chasing waterfalls.
Oh yeah,
I'm kidding. Okay, sorry.
it's true.
A lot of
They'll
things to
get you
cover.
every time.
Yeah.
I know that. That's referenced in a movie I watched.
Nice.
That's anyway. Continue on.
Yeah. So, yeah, here we are. All these different things we can do for our final episode.
Yeah. Well, we went back to church on Sunday.
Oh, that's true.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
Getting back together with everybody.
I know.
It was
I
really
know.
fun.
Yeah, if you're watching and you're unfamiliar with this, our church gathered for worship in person again since March. So you should jump on that train.
Yeah.
It's a cool time.
Yeah.
Come join. Yeah, this week we're going to be in the field on 33 where the tractor pull has been, where the livestock show is. So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I know it'd be great. I kind of don't know what to refer to it. Like, it doesn't have like a unique name yet. We were
Yeah.
joking like we should create a name and make it just popular enough
Yeah.
that people start calling
Like
it that.
the Legacy
so
Pavilion.
back home, and I probably shouldn't say this on the show, but whatever. It's the last one, so it's not like if there's a complaint, we're shut down. But back home, the joke, like in high school, where everyone would go and get drunk, it was called the field. And
The
like,
field?
Yeah, we go to the field this Friday night. Everyone gets sloshed.
This is where everyone
So-
goes to get spiritually.
Yeah. So
enamored.
this field, we're gonna redeem this field, if
Yeah.
that is any part of its history to high schoolers.
You know,
Or maybe we'll get a bunch of high schoolers that are coming there, and then they
They're gonna
watch the.
They're gonna think, oh man, this is the party.
They can watch the
Oh.
service with their beer, and then I can be like, "Hey, come and join student life, but get rid of that."
Because you're underage. All right.
Yeah.
so this field was in my family back in the
Nice.
day. And
What field wasn't?
well, so long story short, this is a really long story. To make it super short, there was an actual draw, like
Oh, a duel.
a duel, yeah, that took place in that field, and
Did someone die?
one of my family members shot this other guy in the leg, and years later, because of families, it ended up being sold. But that's the super condensed version.
You
Duels.
were they friends after that?
Yeah, they were friends. They were great friends. They had a duel for
Vintage
fun.
17,
What?
like 75.
Yeah, it was like, hey, let's have a duel, and they did it. The guy got
Back
shot
then,
in the
it's like
leg.
most guys like die from. They're like, "Hey, want to try to
that's
kill each
funny.
other?"
So you know, like how
Let's do
everybody
it.
talks about the lawn darts, like old guys
Yeah,
are like,
yeah.
back in our day, we played with lawn
Yeah.
darts. Well, when those lawn dart guys were babies, old guys were like, back in our day, we shot at
shot each other.
We had duels for fun. We
got
dodged,
nothing to do.
dodged the bullets.
It is true.
Yeah, they actually did.
Yeah.
You know, I used to play with lawn darts, and my dad's era grew up with them, and so my grandma just in her sheds always had my dad's old stuff. So we'd go stay with grandma and granddad, and I found a box of lawn darts in their shed. So I was a kid, and I would chuck those things up in the air as high as I could.
That is so
Oh
funny.
man, I don't know how I didn't impale myself.
No kidding. Well,
Lawn darts.
yeah.
Yeah,
Now
well,
we have can jam
Yes.
and
a little
cornhole.
safer. Although it does hurt when the frisbee nails you in the shin.
Yeah, but I mean,
You know, I feel like you guys need to spice up can jam and put like spikes on it. You know?
ooh,
Do something where like there's a dangerous element. That way, when you tell your children, you can tell them how they are snowflakes because back in our day we played with frisbee with knives attached to it.
It can be like a
use saw blades.
Oh yeah,
That's frisbees.
dude.
it can involve shotguns.
You don't hit it down right, you're done.
true.
Shotguns. Ooh.
Yeah, like skeet throwing. Like if you shoot the frisbee, and you get like another point or something.
If you shoot it while you're in front of it, while the other friend is in front of it.
If you like, you know how you can hit it into the thing.
Yeah.
You can like shoot it into the thing.
Like, I got it.
That'd be awesome.
Man,
Better better be careful with that game.
Yeah. Didn't you shot yourself with a nail gun in the leg?
I did, yeah. I shot myself with a nail gun one time,
Man.
back in the day. I was in high school, I think. Maybe a freshman in
Were you
college.
playing that same game?
Yeah, I know. We were playing, instead of can jam, we were playing with water bottle caps. Yeah, and tossing them to each other and shooting them with nail guns. Yeah, shot
Man.
myself in the leg.
That'd be intense.
Yes,
Did anyone hit a bottle cap? Because that's so tiny.
I know. That's why can jam's for
That makes sense.
those who just can't handle the smaller version.
That's true.
Can Jim handle it?
Yeah.
For chumps.
So since we met for church the other day, I have some notes I was going to share with you guys. Like, this is my journal.
Nice.
Front.
I was gonna make like a draw something so I knew which side, because look, they're the same on both sides. This is my kid's handprints are on the other side.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that's actually both Romans. Did Atlas? No, just Roman. Anyway, I decided to write us some notes. So I had a couple thoughts here, and I'll share them for our show. That way, it's a little bit of the theology element that.
We long for.
Yeah, that we
Inspired
try to stir into a little bit.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really planning to talk about this, but I will now that we're here. Which my mind's pretty wired. I was up at right before 5 o'clock today,
Nice.
and I got to see the sunrise. Our property is awesome. It's like so fun, and yeah, man. So I'm pretty wired now. This is
You say you're wired makes me want to yawn.
this is cup number 8 or so of coffee.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, not 8 of these.
Oh, that's what I thought you meant.
This is
like you
no.
are dominant
In the pot, it goes up to
Yeah.
like level 12. I only took it to 8 today. I
Nice.
filled it all up before I came to the office. All right, so and I just finished it. All right, so it's a little more like a discussion. I'm curious from you guys some of your thoughts on this. Theoretically, so let me get you into like church theory a little bit for those who might be watching. This is stuff I talk about a lot. Theoretically, the last 15 weeks or so, there's been discussion about how the church can be stronger than ever, because rather than being focused on Sunday morning and like a program-centric approach or a Sunday ritual tradition approach, people can really focus their own hearts in the Lord, and time with people and whatever time they spend is intentional. And I have I guess you could say for about 3 months or so, I've subscribed to that until church the other day. What I mean by that is, for months, I've been sharing with other pastors and others who we've been talking let's just press in on things that really matter. And what we see in the book of Acts with discipleship, yes, we can't meet in person, but we can still do all these other things to some degree. And basically, when at church the other day, I found myself thinking, whoa, the value of gathering is fundamental to expressing and living the spiritual formation disciplines. I found myself thinking this is I don't want to say underestimated, because the only reason I allowed myself to kind of get into this thinking is we literally weren't able to meet. So it's not like I took a break from church for a few months to go into some deep hole of theory. But since we were stuck and not able to meet, we did online and stuff, but it wasn't the same. I was thinking hey, maybe there's something to this, right? So on a whiteboard, being able to write out just why does the church gather? What do we do in our gathering? What is our faith actually made up of? And answering all those questions and being kind of convinced that we can do a lot of things without gathering. It made sense on paper until we gathered yesterday, and I thought, no, we need to gather, even if it doesn't, even if it can't be fully explained on paper. I need this, and we need this. And that's not a personality thing. That's how we're wired. It reminded me, in the Old Testament, they celebrated the Sabbath and they recognized that. And in the New Testament, that there are multiple statements about them gathering. So it's not like gathering was ever tacked on to religious faith. However, it's far more important than I was giving it credit for. Back in April, when things were really intense, and I was well, hey, we're just going to make
Yeah.
this work. So that was interesting. It made me think a lot of like, I don't know what bee it is. Maybe it's like a bumblebee or something. Isn't there something like, or a carpenter bee or something? They're like, the body is too big for the wings to work. And scientists don't know how. Maybe that's a rumor. I don't know. But if that was a true statement about certain bees, that's how I feel like church is like, I can give you theoretical understandings for why we can do most of our faith without gathering. And then yesterday, without like a weekly dedicated corporate time of worship. And yesterday pretty much blew that to pieces. Or I mean,
Well,
Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the church gather corporately for centuries now,
Yes.
and I don't think it's just because it's like the thing that everyone's always done. I mean, we see, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there. Like, we see that the Lord is there when we gather, and we see accountability when we gather. We see this like spiritual growth of like excitement and joy and zeal when we gather, and throughout, you can argue any theological point, but the like fact of like when you gather, you're growing and you're more motivated, I think, than when you're not gathering. I think one of the biggest things we're going to be fighting as a global church when we get back together, like when things really kind of open up, is fighting that mentality of it being just okay to stay home and do your own thing, because I've seen sort of and even I recognized it in my own spiritual journey, this like almost like complacency of like it's just easy to wake up and like wear your pajamas and just tune in, and it's been great for this season. It's kept us connected,
Sure.
But it also it makes it easy to just like, I mean, tune parts of the sermon out, or to not be like fully invested, and you're not making connections. You're not like really using your gifts to serve. Like, there are so many things that I think that we experience as we gather corporately that if we don't like focus on the importance of it, then I think there's going to be a whole group of people who are just like okay with staying home and having this kind of like I don't know how to describe it, but like almost like a subpar faith, where it's like, I'm a Christian, I'm watching sermons, but I'm not like being proactive.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love how the Lord has personally taken me through this like mini journey within the larger journey to see the value of gathering, because otherwise, if somebody were to come to me even today, and say like, well, I can still do my faith, I would have given them a textbook answer about like, listen, I know you can do discipleship without gathering. I know you can, you can do one-on-one or have a couple people, you don't have to be gathering as a church. Like I may have said that or affirmed that if they said it, and just nodded along and thought, well, yeah, there's several ways to skin the cat of like growing in your faith. And now I'd push back so much. Like I was writing out like, what are some statements that I've either made or I've heard about Sunday gatherings? Some are that they're program centric, or just seeker sensitive, or they're too rigid, or they're not essential compared to discipleship, or they are religious tradition, or they're for money, or they're not core elements of discipleship, or they're just their front door to real faith compared to like connecting you in discipleship or mentorship.
I think it's also just easy to put, like, if there's a blame that needs to be on something, when like, oh, well, like someone's faith is not up to par, or I don't have the attendance I want, or I don't have whatever it is. Like, it's easy to put a blame on something. So whether that is like Sunday service, they might be doing that. But I would say like a huge thing of gathering together, and I was talking to students a lot about this, was the idea of not being isolated. And I think when you're isolated, like, I usually say, especially with like different sins that may come up, like when you're isolated, the enemy attacks hardcore. And like you even see that, like, and there's a picture of like Jesus doing that, and like, yes, he can, like, obviously he won, and there's victory in that, and in the same thing, we have the authority in the victory. But when you have brothers and sisters that gather around you, like you said, with accountability, I think that you see so much more of like the brother and sisterhood, as well as just like all of us being linked together to combat Satan and lies that come up. So that's even like why you see like such strong Christians, I would say, that may be there on a Sunday morning, and like if there is an altar call or something of that sort, like they're up there crying because they're just like, I need a brother and sister to pray over me. And so now when we're isolated, it's like, who do I have to pray over me right now? Sometimes my family, not everyone has that. Sometimes like I can call someone on Zoom, but like that doesn't really have the same effect. Like prayer has encouragement over people. It has just like even yesterday with John praying over everyone, like, it was like, oh, this is encouraging, this is fulfilling, like this is filling me up, just because it's something to hear a brother just like pray over us. Like that's amazing. So I think that though it may be like somehow the idea of, well, I prefer now to have it more of like a individual mindset of like church and having that time of just like being alone and with the Lord. I would say there's a level of balance to it though. Like as much as people, I would say, only have their faith focused on going to church and doing that and not having an individual quiet time or individual time with the Lord, my hope would be that over quarantine they were able to develop that individual time with the Lord, and then now seeing also the importance of gathering. So like there's a balance of, you need to have both time one-on-one with the Lord and really feeling that and seeking that out, and then also having the time with brothers and sisters to be able to worship together, hear others worship, have people pray, like just the community, like being relational beings that we are, like we need that. So yeah,
it's true. For me, what was interesting was going through like being really open to, maybe we need to relook at how we're growing in our faith. If Sunday is, in its traditional way, has been handicapped. Like, so while everyone else was like, no, we just need to get back together, I'm like, maybe not. Like, just currently we can't, so I'm able to think about that. But maybe not in the way that we're used to. And gathering Sunday was so good to be like, no, actually, this is essential. This is not something that's like, if somebody, this is kind of funny, but if somebody were to accuse our church of wanting to gather just to receive an offering, I'd say, well, for 15 weeks we didn't gather, and we brought more money in than when we did. And we also didn't spend any money. It's cheaper for us not to pay rent every week.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I don't even know if we took an offering. Did we take an offering?
I don't think we did yesterday.
Yeah, I intentionally did.
That's definitely not.
Yeah, I was like, well, everyone's been used to giving online, so we don't need to. And there's actually people who they came prepared to give, and we received their gift because that's just the way that is. But yeah, our church has been so good during this time. That's been really very helpful so we can focus on things that are more like the needs of people rather than just trying to rally people to help support things. So yeah, watching it all come together in the gathering has been really cool, and that's a unique thing for me. I'm like a self-learner. Like I tried to teach myself guitar back in high school or college. For school, almost a lot of my school has been online, and that doesn't always work for people. A lot of people are like, no, I need to be in a classroom. I need to see people. I need accountability. I've never really been one that always needs that. So for me to go through there's so many people in my life who they just need everybody. They missed the party. For me, I'm like, I kind of didn't miss the gathering in the same way as you did. I did for other reasons, and concluding how important it was like a game changer for me as our pastor. We're elder led, so all the other guys were like, we need to meet, and I agree, we do, but they needed to for reasons that sounds like you guys also feel. For me, I'm like, academically, theoretically, do we? And concluding yes, through both scripture, which was already there, but the element of experience was awesome. So for this Sunday, I'm like, all right, so we're getting together again. Different location than last Sunday. This time and throughout the summer, we're gonna try to be meeting in this field, and like this is essential to my faith, to your faith, all of us. This is essential to our community, to those who need to grow in their faith or discover Christ. Anyway, I kind of concluded on my thoughts too. Like, then why do you have some churches that like when they're gathering just feels not just like, sometimes it feels stale, sometimes it feels showy, sometimes it feels like out of place. Like, you're like, yeah, this just doesn't feel like the early church. It's like, well, the answer is not necessarily to make it like no electricity, like we kind of did yesterday, or I mean, it was Sunday, but we also had like, we had some mics and stuff,
Yeah.
but we didn't have air conditioning, you know?
Yeah.
And for me personally, like walking through it, realizing, you know, like what makes maybe some church experiences different than others, I would take it back to our heart and our motives. So you can have two churches, one can be they can both be super simple, but one can feel just off and the other one feel great because their hearts are right. One can be really what might be like considered like production-y or showy, or actually they both are, and one can feel like so man-made, so fabricated and wrong, and then the other one can feel amazing. I've been in both environments before, and I would conclude it comes down to our hearts and our motives, and also what we're bringing to the table when we arrive. I mean, if you're showing up with like a judgy eye, like you can see, you can be critical about everything.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, that's a little bit of my journey last
That's
couple
good.
days.
I'm
processing
excited
this.
because I feel like many of the big church movements we've seen throughout the course of history, you know,
Beer at 9 a.m.
revival, you know, whatever it is,
Yeah.
some of these like big things that you've seen happen have all taken place, not all, but many of them have taken place outside. So I
they
don't
have,
think,
huh?
I don't think that the Lord has this outside on accident,
Yeah.
especially in such a prominent location in our county.
That's
and
true.
so my prayer is that the Lord, or that we're able to leverage our location to really reach out to the people in our county to spread the gospel, and
Yeah.
that movement takes place. And
Yeah, that's my
and
prayer
then
too.
yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
That's my prayer. That's the prayer of several of our elders.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it. I'm curious to see what
Yeah.
God's going to do. So we're going to, as a church family, we're going to be moving into a barn here in a few months when that's finished. But like, I don't see between now and then as some sort of like temporary holding pattern.
Yeah.
If anything, the last several months that was really unique and unexpected for everybody
Yeah.
in the nation. But going forward, like it's not like we're here going to be gathering until we can move to
Yeah.
what feels like maybe like a home. Instead, it's like, no, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And God will be moving in a really great way. So,
True.
anyway, all that to say, if you're listening and you're like, I don't really know if I need to go to church, I'd love to talk with you because I'll give you a bunch of reasons why you do. And those reasons are not out of a textbook. Those reasons are both from Scripture, but then also things that God has been teaching me. So I empathize with that statement. I hear that statement. I probably feel it in ways that might be even more emotional than what you may feel it, because I've really allowed myself and my own family to go through a pretty serious journey in this process, and making sure that like for a bunch of reasons, but basically I need to have full conviction on doing things, especially as the pastor, or I'm not the right person for the job. So walking myself through and knowing for sure why we're doing stuff has been fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool.
Anyway,
Well, I
so
don't know
that's
how long
our
we've
little
been-
theology time.
Yeah. Theology Tuesday.
Theology.
I don't know how long we've been going, but it feels like it's about time to wrap up. Yeah?
Sure. Yeah, unless we have any
Unless we just
final
want to keep talking.
things.
That's our last episode. We can talk for like 2 hours.
I know.
That's true. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. Watch it if you want. Don't watch it if you don't want.
Make it a long stream so then people will like tune in, then tune out, and come back
know.
and forth. Or they can just keep us playing while they're working or something. So
It's true. I kind of want to like, I will find myself probably in like a day or two wanting to make another video.
there
Maybe
you go.
we'll have a monthly episode.
Maybe. It's so tough now that we're like I got other things I got to do. I'm like, I can't do this, but I know I'm going to miss it. So it's really funny to like think about.
But hey,
so
you can transition to Matt's podcast.
That's true.
Oh, true.
Get on the 34%.
34%.
Yeah. Shout out there.
Maybe we'll guest star on his podcast.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'll just take the audio from this and put it down there.
True. Yeah. So if anybody wants to, join your show
Yeah.
or continue with ours, what's the deal with, you fill in with 2 other names.
Yeah.
Maddie has apparently claimed that one of those spots.
Yeah.
So
Jason and Maddie.
Yeah, there you go. And you guys can rock the show out in whatever way. We'll sell you the show, all of our subscribers.
We'll sell all of our equipment to you.
I was thinking our brand. Yeah. WTD.
It's worth at least 25 grand.
Yeah,
I think.
probably. At least.
Yeah.
I would say. Who gets that money though?
Don't ask the tough questions.
Okay. I just want a percentage.
But let's just say you're a guest star, and our names are on the logo.
I guest starred in so many.
Let's just say you'll get a really good lunch.
That's worth it.
It's funny you ask
Better
that
than what I had.
because like the classic thing, if you're like a podcaster or something, is you have guests on, and like it depends on if you're not very successful or whatever. It would just depend, but. Sometimes you pay them, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay the guest star, like you're just using other people to
Promote your own brand.
promote your own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because I was recently on a podcast, did not receive compensation, did not even ask for it or expect it, but I did think that's very well done. Build an epic brand and then ask a bunch of no-name people who are happy to be on something a little more known.
Yeah.
And then you just, develop content.
Just get their knowledge.
Yeah. That's like if I was an editor of a book, I would just ask a bunch of people to write.
Yeah.
And then have that.
Didn't you did that?
Actually, I did. Yeah, no, I said- no, I was a contributing author.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
meant.
Yeah,
You
wouldn't
were the editor.
But there's
wouldn't
actually
even-
there's a lot of work involved in the editing side.
That's true.
But yeah, to get a bunch of people that would be contributing authors.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have to write. You just get
Yeah.
like each person would be a chapter.
Yes.
What do editors do other than organize the content? Do they actually go back and fix the grammar errors?
Probably.
Oh, well, that'd be. I mean, a little more like a.
That is editing.
Yeah. Usually that's another type of editing.
Okay, then what? Like,
fix the
I'm
grammar.
thinking of like an editor that's like, is it just like, all right, put the books together, got all the contributors, we're good to
I
go.
don't know.
Let
You
me write a
should-
quick preface.
You should be one and then see what happens.
Yeah, let us know.
Okay.
What you do.
Yes.
You
You
guys
can
wanna be contributors?
talk about it on your podcast. Sure, I'll be a contributor. Let me write 100 pages and then
I need you to write
You can put your
200
name on it.
pages, and I need you to write 200 pages,
All right.
and then I'll put a preface in front.
and put your
good.
name on it.
And then I'll be like, Metro. Then I'll give you compensation with a lunch.
Thanks. I see what you did there. Anyway, hey, now that we just threw a bunch of people under the bus, let's wrap up our episode, and hopefully everyone that I alluded to does not watch this. All right. Have a great morning, everyone. Hopefully we'll see you all on
Great
Sunday.